Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Well, Piston fans, Monty Williams just came out and spoke to why he doesn't play Cade and Ivey more, and we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about the 125 to 116 loss to the Pelicans on Thursday. We're going to talk about some more other players, about Austar and Killian and a lot of stuff. So let's get started. And I can talk to you. I just give my opinion here. And am I a genius? No, I'm not. Does Monty Williams know more than me? Obviously, he makes $13 million a year. I coach high school basketball, and I made like $6,000 a year. So obviously, he knows more. Does that mean he's always right? And does that mean that his takes are always right? No, he's a human, and a lot of human factors are involved in coaching, and how we look at people and things and players, and all of this happens, and it makes a large effect on how we decide who plays and how much they play and how much they don't play. So anyway, Monty came out. They asked him, the beat writers finally asked him, why doesn't Ivy have to? Why doesn't he play more? What does he have to do to play more? And he said, he's more inclined to lecture players on defense and rebounding than on offense. He's still a young player. I'm not giving him minutes out because minutes are precious. The standard we have is excellence, and we can't have that if guys are gifted minutes. Well, you know what? He goes on to say, he said that it happens if JD and Cade turn it over, then they don't get to play. That he doesn't give minutes for other things. Well, guess what? Cade can turn it over 3 times in a row, and I don't think that Cade should not play all the time. Cade should play all the time. He needs to. But he turns it over 3 times in a row. He says he limits Cade's minutes. He doesn't limit Cade's minutes. Cade would play 36 minutes a game, except for foul trouble. And he had foul trouble the one game that he fouled out. And he played like 24 minutes. In this past game, he still played 34 minutes, and he sat out most of the second quarter because he got foul trouble with a lot of time left. So, that doesn't cut it with me. And excellent. He's all about excellence. Well, shooting is something. I know. Defensive habits, he says it's not habits. The offense isn't bad habits. Well, guess what? When you shoot, under 30% for 3 years, that's a bad habit, and so just you're gifting Killian minutes. We win. If Killian played really well against the Pelicans, Killian shot 4 for 8, and he played 39 minutes. And if he played that way against Miami, we win that game. If he played close to that way, good against Portland, we play that way. And then against Portland, I'm at the game. I watch Killian get blown by 3 times in the second half. Does he come out? No, he doesn't come out. So what it comes down to is players, coaches, they see things. And is Jaden a great defensive player? No. Does he make mistakes? He does. And I'm sure he makes more than Killian. But you know what's happening? We got these great defenders, and Killian and Sasser are great defenders. But you know what they're doing? Having those 2 guys out there and Ivy not out there, do you think Ivy could have held Zach LaVine to 51 points? Maybe. CJ McCollum, he scored 33 on us with Austar and Killian guarding him. And I'm not saying they shouldn't play. Don't get me wrong. Shea scored 32 points on us. And somebody else scored a lot of points on us. But things can be deceptive, because I will tell you this, that Austar did a great job. When Austar was guarding Shea, he was 2 for 8, and he made him have 3 turnovers, and he blocked a shot. So a lot of times things happen when somebody's not guarding. But my point is, offense matters too. When you got a guy, Austar Thompson, and I want him to play, he's shooting 6% on 3-point shots. 6%. We are going to lose games because of that. Is that he shot 3 air balls on threes in the first half, and 2 other bricks just clanged on the rim. And I want him to still play. My thing with Killian is not elite defensive player. Killian is a good playmaker. He's had some good moments, but he's proven over 3 years. And Monty wasn't here, but even Monty's got to look at the stats, and then when he gets off to a terrible start like this. But I think that what happens? Chad Ford, he's worked for ESPN for 20 years. He was a draft analyst, one of the best in the business, and he said something once. He said, when you go to summer league, and if there's a player that somebody loves, and they watch him play the game, they say he played great. And if they go to if another person goes to the game and says that's a player that I hate, and they watch the game, they say he played terrible. Well, my perspective is that Monty sees things in Ivy and they just grind him, and it just bothers him because he was playing great. He helped us come back in this game against the Pelicans. And, it's not like, again, Killian is one of the worst shooters this year and last year and the year before in the NBA, not just on the Pistons, in the NBA. He's the worst shooter, and he, still gets to play. But not only does he get to play, he plays 30 minutes, and Ivy plays 20 minutes. So he's playing way more. That's a big percentage more that he's playing over Ivy. And so that's the thing. And what in the world is going to happen when Monty Morris and Bogey come back? Where is he? If he's going to play Cade, and he's going to play, he's not Cade. If he's going to play Killian all those minutes, or a lot of minutes, and he's going to play Austar minutes, and he's going to play Sasser, and Sasser has earned the minutes. If he wants to make guys earn the minutes, you got to earn them on both ends. You can't just say there's just one end. And Sasser has been out of this world. His numbers are unsustainable. Sasser is shooting 59%, 56% on threes, and per 36, he's averaging 6 assists, 5.5 rebounds, and he only has 0.8 turnovers. He's averaging less than a turnover a game, and would be averaging 18.2 points a game, and 2.5 steals a game. And so he's going to have to play. And if Killian plays, where is Ivy going to play? Because he obviously doesn't like the way Ivy plays. He sees the mistakes. But what I'm saying is, when a coach, and I've been guilty of it too, it happens. You see a player and they just get under your skin. And whatever happened, and I wasn't there. And again, Monty pointed out, you're not at practice, and I, as a coach, know that is a real thing. We don't get to see what Jaden's doing at practice every day. Maybe he's just terrible at practice every day, and so maybe he doesn't. And so that is a real thing. I've had players that haven't earned minutes because they haven't been good in practice. So that does matter. But still, the results, we were supposed to be trying to win. And again, we're not just trying to win. So I want Austar to play. Even if he's shooting 36% overall and 6% on threes. So, that is pathetic. So we're starting Killian and Sasser, and they are two of the worst shooters in the NBA, and we have them on the court at the same time. And what does that do to your offense? So, like I said, Monty knows more than me. He makes $13 million a year, and the thing is, if Monty doesn't work out, if something has happened, and we're stuck with them. I don't know what. I can't imagine the owner paying $13 million a year for him not to coach. And I think he's a good coach. I think so many things that he does are great. But I disagree with him on this, and he's probably right and I'm probably wrong. But I just can't handle hearing him say that he holds people accountable. Cade fouls all the time. He says that if they foul, Cade fouls. He got 3 fouls with so much time left in the half, and it just killed us. We got killed against, we lost that game 125 to 116 to the Pelicans on Thursday. And there's all this time left, and Cade gets his 3rd foul, and he comes out of the game. And we're right in the game when he gets in foul trouble. And so there's 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and we're only down by 5, and Cade's out of the game. And they go on a 16-0 run. They're up by 25 at halftime because Cade has to sit with 3 fouls. Well, Monty's didn't set him down because he reached in or made a bad foul. He's doing it because you have to, because you don't want him to pick up his 4th foul in the first half. So anyway, obviously, like I said, I'm fired up, and I know defense matters, and I know Monty wants to set a culture of tough defense and not accepting bad habits, and that's a real thing. But I just see, like I said, like Chad Ford, we see things sometimes. They got blown out. Phoenix Suns got blown out in their last playoff game when they lost in Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals, and it was just terrible. They got beat like by 70. I mean, it was ridiculous. But he benched Ayton. Well, you know what? He benched Ayton. He had problems with Ayton, and they go into the next season. Monty did not talk to Ayton all summer, all year. The season started. They're back in training camp. Somebody asked Ayton, "Has Monty talked to you?" He said, "No, Monty has not talked to me." So, hopefully Monty doesn't feel the same way about Cade and Ivey as DeAndre Ayton. Otherwise, trade him. I know I'm joking. I love the way Ivey plays, and he cares and he tries and he plays hard, and he makes mistakes, and you don't want him to get bad habits, but still he helped us turn around the game on Thursday against the Pelicans, and then he sets him, and then we go in a funk and we can't score against Portland. We have the game won. We're up by 18. We're up by 15 in the second half, and then we can't score down the stretch, and Cade's forcing stuff, and Ivey sits on the bench. So who knows? Only Monty knows, but you can tell it bothers him, and people that are in power don't like to be questioned, and you can tell by his tone of voice and what he says that it really bothers him. But like I said, defense matters, but Asar and Killian are out there on the court, and those guys are lighting us up. And another thing, though, I had this thought that why it would be good not to have Killian start. If Killian and Asar are these tremendous defensive players, if you start Asar and then when you sub him out and they have still to guard, the Zach LaVines and the CJ McCollums and stuff, then you can bring Killian in to guard him. So that's another thought. But like I said, my big thing is I think that, it wouldn't be such a big thing if Killian played 20 minutes, even if he started, and Ivey played 30 minutes, even if he didn't start, but it's not happening that way. And we are in, like I said, if we wanted just to win, I still think Asar does make winning plays, but it's hard when you got a guy out there and teams. So the last two games, people are playing zone. They're going to play zone on us, and the Pelicans played zone. And when you got guys that can't shoot, you're just going to struggle. So anyway, in this game, we got down by 25, and then we did cut it back down to 7. We made a good comeback, and a lot of it is Sasser. He scored 19 points in the second half. He scored 0 in the first half, but the kid's a tough player. But I am still, what in the world is going to happen when you have, I said this before the season started. I didn't know what Monty was going to do. It was an impossible situation I just thought that Killian and Sasser weren't going to get to play. That's what I thought was going to happen. And I think a lot of people thought that's what was going to happen. But now since Monty and Bogey were injured at the start of the season, they're still not going to be back for a while. But it's just going to be intriguing what happens. And we are lucky that if we decide that we can't sign Burks, and he's been great this year, or Monty Morris and Joe Harris, those guys are all free agents at the end of this year. And so, at least we have those other guys, and we have Sasser, and he really looks like a player. And people do go after him. They're going to target him because he is so small. Like I said, the last podcast, he's like 6'1" maybe. And he looks like a little kid out there, but he's a dog. He fights and he plays hard, and he gets all these steals. And he's been phenomenal passing. Again, he can't even possibly be this good. I mean, I hope he is, but his statistics are out of this world. I mean, hardly anybody in the NBA guards that are shooting 59% from the floor, overall 56% on threes. That's just out of this world. And 6 assists a game, and only 0.8 turnovers a game. On a team that turns it over so much. That's just crazy. There's some other things that happen, about Killian that I think are important to know. That his pressure on the rim. So when Ivey drives to the basket, he's like 14 for 20 at the rim. Killian in 6 games, he's 0 for 5 at the rim. He's afraid to go to the rim, and when he does get to the rim, nobody cares, and he shoots bad, and so that matters. Nobody has to worry about him. They don't have to worry about him shooting the 3. And, so that just is a hard thing when your team is struggling to score. So, Killian in 30 played 30 minutes. He's averaging 30 minutes, and Ivey's averaging 20 minutes. And Ivey's shooting 49%, Killian's shooting 30%, even after having his 4 for 8 game where he shot 50%. So on threes, Ivey's shooting 41%, Killian's shooting 28%. So on free throws, Ivey's shooting 83%, Killian's shooting 57%. And so, like I said, there could be a place with those injuries where you bring Killian in when there's when Austar goes out. But the bottom line is, after listening to what Monty's quotes are, it ain't happening. He sees Killian as this great player and defensive player, and he is going to plant his feet in the sand or flag in the sand or whatever they say, and he obviously is going to hold to it. It doesn't matter how good Ivey plays and how bad Killian plays. Killian is going to play a lot more minutes. And Cade has problems too. Cade at the rim is only shooting 39%. So he's shooting fabulous. He's 41% on threes. We all thought that's what it was going to take for him to go to the next level, and he is shooting it great. His form is better. His arc is higher. It's not an accident, but 39% at the rim is terrible, and it's unsustainable. I'm sure he's not going to continue to shoot that bad. He does obviously have problems when he has to go up like Mark Williams, that's over 7 foot tall, or Chet, or even Valanciunas made it hard for him to get to the rim. And those tall guys, when he gets there, Cade, again, he's not a bursty athlete. He doesn't elevate high, but he needs to keep driving. But his first 2 years he shot 58 and 54% at the rim, and so I think that's very much more likely what's going to happen with him. So I think look for that to improve. So I hope it does. But like I said, Cade got his third foul against the Pelicans with 10 minutes and 17 seconds left in the second quarter, and things just went downhill. And the foul that got called on him was atrocious. He was making a cut, and then he was curling off a pick, and his man pressed up into him, and so they got like sandwiched. Everybody got sandwiched together, and they called it on Cade, and it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous call, and it affected the outcome of the game because then Cade has to sit, and then again we went on. The Pelicans go on a 16-0 run. We did not score for over 4 minutes with Cade on the bench, and he would have been in the game, if it wasn't for that. So it's frustrating, it's frustrating, but we have this young team. Like I said, we're still got to develop. We got to develop Ivey. We got to develop Sasser, and they got to learn from making mistakes. That you can't allow it always to make mistakes. You got to hold them to a high standard. But it just seems to me that for whatever reason, Ivey is being held to a higher standard than everybody else. But again, I'm not there at practice. Again, Coach Williams knows way more than I do. But just from what I see, and that's what this podcast is about, and this isn't like, there's this war in Ukraine where kids are getting killed, and there's the Middle East things, and there's school shootings. So this is just sports. This is just basketball, and I'm passionate about the Pistons, but I just think that Ivey needs to, is he going to be part of it? Obviously we can't trade Monty. If he's there and Ivey's there and he can't get past all what he sees with Ivey and he can't coach him to play better, what does that, Ivey's efforts there. He's not, it's not like he's over trying sometimes. Sometimes he leaves his feet. I know that. Sometimes he does get blown by. But like I said, Killian got blown by 3 times against Portland in the second half alone, and nothing happens. And like I said, Cade's accountable for making turnovers. We've seen Cade make 3 turnovers in a row, and it just turns the game. Does Cade want to make turnovers? No. Do we want Cade to come out? No. But still, he's saying, that he's holding everybody accountable, but it doesn't seem that way. So anyway, let's we can dive into the statistics for the game against the Pelicans. And Austar played 25 minutes, 5 for 17, and of course he didn't make any. He 0 for 6 on threes. And so, like I said, in the first half, Austar wide open. They leave him wide open. So we're playing 4-on-5, and he shoots the air ball, then he shoots a brick. he clangs on the back of the backboard, then shoots another air ball, then shoots another brick, then shoots another air ball. He shoots the air ball on a pull-up jumper. And again, it's in his head. It's a mental thing as much as it is a physical thing. I watched him shoot. His form's not that bad. When I went down to the game and he was making shots in practice, he was 6 for 7 on free throws. That tells you that your shot's not completely broke if you can make 6 out of 7 free throws. So we just got to hope that he gets better. But in the meantime, he still got 7 rebounds and 5 assists, and he got a block and he turned it over 3 times. But we have to play him this year. We are not playing for a championship this year. But again, maybe I'm sounding hypocritical when I say things about Killian. My only thing about Killian is he's had 3 years of doing it, and we're playing him 30 minutes even when he plays bad. So Stu, another really good game. And again, he's passing up shots. Stu's passing up shots. Stu is not confident out the 3-point line. They don't guard him. He's left open, but he's not turning over. He's 3 for 7, 1 for 3 on threes. 4 for 6 on free throws, got 8 rebounds in 35 minutes. He didn't have any assists, but he had 2 blocks. He had 1 good block. It was funny. They have that Valanciunas, and I listened a little bit out of the game on the radio, and Rick Mahorn was talking about. He said, if I was playing against Valanciunas, I would have been fighting him before the game even started, because we've been watching him play against the Pistons, and him and Drummond used to get into some problems, and he just does some things that are annoying, probably like Mahorn and Lambier used to do to our opponents. But he is kind of a dirty, annoying player, and he just flops and he just pushes and prods, and he was getting away with it, and he got Duran, frustrated, and fouls called, and Duran had a hard time with him. But Valanciunas had 23 points on us. We had a hard time stopping him, and he had some assists. Another thing about this game is that kills you. Ingram didn't play. Their 2 best players, Zion and Ingram, didn't play against us. And so what happens, Matt Ryan, this guy that averaged 7 points a game, he scores 20. He's 6 for 8 on threes. The kid went to like 4 different colleges in 4 years. There's something weird about him, but he can shoot it. Herb Jones. So here's another thing that's tough on Cade. There's these guys. Herb Jones is the elite of the elite defenders in the NBA. He is long and he is athletic and he loves to play defense, and he struggles offensively a lot of times. But against us, 21 points on 7 shots. He scored 21 points and took 7 shots. So he made free throws. He made some threes. He shot. I don't think he was 6 for 7 or something like that from the floor. He had an unbelievable game. So we had 2 guys play out of their mind, way above what they normally play, with those other guys out. But we're playing our defensive players. Monty's playing our defensive players. You can't be on the floor unless you earn it on defense. But yet we're giving up Matt Ryan, a guy that averaged 20 points, and we're giving up Herb Jones, a guy that can't score 21 points. So, I'm being sarcastic, and I am frustrated, and after what Monty said, and so I apologize for that. And again, I don't know. Monty knows more than me, so. Duran only played 25 minutes, but he got into some foul trouble, and he was 5 for 8 and 2 for 2 from the line, 5 rebounds, only 1 assist, 1 turnover. He got kicked out of the game at the end of the game, getting tangled up with Valanciunas, and so that was, the game was over by then, but even, it was just, I don't know, less than 30 seconds left, I think. But, yeah, so Herb guarded Cade, and Cade played 34 minutes, even though he sat out the last 10 minutes of the second quarter, over 10 minutes. One thing I like that Monty does, I like the way Monty subs Cade in and out. So like Cade can be getting his rest, and all of a sudden there's a dead ball, and we're on offense with 17 seconds left. Monty will zip Cade right back into the game. Even this game, there was 30 seconds left, and Cade had those 3 fouls. Monty didn't want him to get his 4th foul, but he put him in because it was a dead ball where we were on offense, and so I think those are smart. I like the way he puts Cade in and takes him out towards the end of the first quarter, and then he'll put him back in right away, and then thinks he's tired, he takes him out for 2 or 3 minutes, and he'll put him in for the end of the second quarter. I love that. I mean, some coaches like Casey, he would exact same pattern every game. He would play him till there was like 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Then he would sit him out until there were 7 or 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and he'd play the whole way. But there's a lot of things I love about Monty Williams, and like I said, my thing is I just can't. I just hope that there is not that he can get past. Um, I think whatever my Ivy does, I hope that Ivy can get past whatever he does that frustrates Coach Williams so bad. I just hope that he can get by that. So Killian played 39 minutes, 39 minutes, even though, like I said, he played really good last night. If Killian plays like this, we beat Miami. If Killian plays like this, we beat Portland. But he hasn't played like this, and he hasn't played like this for 3 years, where he shot 4 for 8. Maybe he had a few good games. So he was 2 for 4 on threes, which, I mean, he reached up his hands to the sky after he finally made a three. After, like I said, he's shooting 26% on threes for the season, and I think he missed his last 6 in a row before that at least. So he had 5 rebounds, 9 assists. He made some great passes. So again, I'm all worked up, but Killian does some good things. It's just when you have Ivy sitting on the bench and when he can't shoot, and then you play him and Austar together, that is what is the concern. And I'm all for Monty developing a defensive identity. Our defense has certainly gotten better because of the coaching that we have. But Bagley played 13 minutes, his normal 13 minutes. And this is funny. He played 33 minutes against Portland, and he had like 7 rebounds. Thursday night, he played 13 minutes, 9 rebounds. And 1 block and 6 points, 3 for 7. And, so I guess that's what we need to play him, only 13 to 15 minutes, and he'll play great. So Joe Harris played 24 minutes, 3 for 8, 2 for 6 on threes. I know he's even better shooter than that. He had 3 rebounds. He is a liability on defense, and he is not a great rebounder. He had 8 points. So again, I'm sure that once Bogey comes back, his role could be eliminated. So who knows? We'll see. Ivy played 22 minutes only, 4 for 6, 1 for 3 on threes, 7 rebounds. Monty talks about rebounding. That you need a rebound to stay on the floor, and he had 7 rebounds in 22 minutes. He had 2 turnovers, and so he wasn't benched because of his turnovers. He had 12 points, and like I said, he helped us come back in the second half, but then they didn't put him back in. But Sasser was incredible. First half, 0 points. He played 23 minutes, 6 for 10 from the floor, 5 for 8 on threes, 2 for 2 from the line, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers. So he's averaging less than a turnover a game. So he had 19 points. So the Pistons shot 43%, 34% on threes. We shoot fewer threes than any team in the NBA. We turn the ball over more than any team in the NBA. Those are just a couple things where we are, I don't know. I think you do have to make threes to be in the game, but do we want Austar and Killian jacking up a lot of threes when they shoot 6% or when they shoot 25%? Probably not. But we shot 81% from the line. We were 21 of 26, but we hardly shot any in the first half. They shot way more free throws in the first half than we did. And they got a lot of calls that were maybe questionable, but they shot 94% from the line. They were 33 for 35, and so that was big for them. We had 16 turnovers. They had 12. We had 31 fouls. They had 18. And again, it was just a disappointing loss. Arguably, every team can say this. Arguably, we should be, instead of 2-4, we should be 4-2. But every team in the league could say that because there's just games that come down to the wire every night. But anyway, I apologize for getting so cranked up. I hope that, I can be completely wrong. These are opinion, one person's opinion. I care about the Pistons. I love the Pistons. I want the best for the Pistons. And, I hope Coach Williams, I know that he's a great person, and I know he does a lot of great things coaching. And I just want our team to be the best that they can be, but not just this season, down in the future. And so we just got to go on and see. But another thing about podcasts is it gives people, I listen to every Piston podcast I can, and there are a lot of guys that I think just are cuckoo, and they just don't make sense. A lot of things that they say, and they even get their facts messed up all the time. But I still listen to them, and I still, even if it gets me all fired up, and even if they make me think, well, that guy's not very smart, and I'm sure you guys are thinking that about me today. But anyway, if you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a thumbs up. Or in this episode, you might want to be leaving a thumbs down. But if you're watching on Spotify, leave a 5-star review. And thank you for listening. I appreciate every one of you. This is still going to be a fun season. You know, our schedule has been brutal. Our schedule has been beyond brutal. I can't imagine another team having a harder schedule than us. And we got 2 days off finally. I don't know if we've had 2 days off in a row since we started. And what do we get? We get the Suns and the Warriors back to back. And then we get a day off. And then guess what? We get to fly to Milwaukee and play the Bucks. So then we get to play the Sixers. So, you know, things never get easy in the NBA. But again, there's a lot of exciting, fun things to watch and a lot of improvement for players to play. And I still think we're going to win some games. We're going to win some games that we probably shouldn't win on paper. But just enjoy the ride. Get excited. Be passionate. Be the reason that somebody feels cared for and heard and loved. And let's go Pistons.